Hey, this is Shane with the Social Freedom Tribe. I want to do a video today on cultivating self-acceptance. So self-acceptance to me is not necessarily looking at myself as if I think I'm perfect or that I can do everything well and I don't have any weaknesses or anything. Rather, it's in a way of looking at myself with just acceptance for where I'm at and not really needing to be perfect. And what I found is that when I have something that I'm judging others for, I'm usually judging myself for it. I judge harshly when it comes to awareness, and so I end up judging myself harshly when it comes to awareness. I feel like I have pretty good awareness, so I'm not necessarily judging myself in a bad way, but I am holding this sense of judgment pretty close to my heart, and actually when somebody says that I wasn't aware of something, it actually really impacts me a lot more than people might expect or other people might feel. Other people might not care as much as I do about needing to be aware of every single thing happening. And so I noticed that when I look at somebody who isn't aware of something and I just practice having acceptance for them, then I've learned that when that same thing happens for me, and I wasn't aware of that same thing, I just ease up on the whole attacking myself and judging myself. And how I do that is literally I practice the intention of accepting. So there's something I've learned in meditation, specifically metta or compassion meditation, where basically in order to do this compassion meditation, you hold the intention of having compassion for somebody. And so you might not actually feel that you're being compassionate or think that you're being compassionate towards this person during your meditation, but they ask you to hold that intention. And I think that the brain starts shifting from intentions. So if we hold that intention of acceptance of other, and we start just practicing it this at different parts of the day, when we see these things that we might judge ourselves harshly for, then we can start easing up and getting better at accepting. And when we get better at accepting others, then we get better at accepting ourselves. The other part of this is just getting present. And what I've noticed with being present is I stop getting attached to these judgmental thoughts because I just start seeing myself as the observer and not necessarily as the thoughts. I think that's my meditation practice, is that I practice becoming the observer. And what that ends up doing is when these thoughts come, I just observe the thoughts and say, they're not me. And because I'm not getting swept up by the thoughts and going down this rabbit hole of judgmentalness, then I'm able to get out of that rabbit hole and not downward spiral. And I just see the spiral happening and I detach from it and I'm no longer part of it and I'm just the observer. And I stop really getting these judgmental thoughts that are... I stop seeing things in a judgmental way or in a thinking way. I just see as they are, and it really helps. I think with this combination of being present, just seeing something for how it is, and then practicing the intention of accepting, then we can really cultivate this self-acceptance. And I think that's powerful. I think another great thing that happens from this is when we cultivate this self-acceptance, then we can be playing music and just not really caring if we make a mistake, and then other people might feel at ease. There's certain conductors that are very harsh and just like you can't make any mistake, so the musicians that play under that conductor are just, they're less attached to their heart, and they're just more on don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake. But their heart isn't in the music because there's so much attention on just staying exactly doing the right thing. And so there's this heart that's able to come out with self-acceptance in these musicians because they're they're letting loose, they're saying, how do I feel about this music? And they might be playing some kind of instrument, and they might change up the rhythm, or just they have more in the emotion itself, and they get the exact kind of holding the note and the volume at different times and the cadence, or whatever, all of these things that just bring a different feeling to the music itself. And when you have all these musicians that are tapped into their hearts because the conductor is so accepting, then it makes for a great emotional song. And this is just really something that I've learned from a video I've seen from somebody where they did I clicked on this how to improvise kind of masterclass musician video, and they just talked about how you can play these wrong notes, quote unquote, and when the audience hears these wrong notes, and then the musician just keeps going, just completely accepting of self, then the audience feels like they can relax, and the wrong notes actually start feeling like the right notes. And so it's interesting. There's also ways that improv uses this, improv comedy, and when you freeze, you can't come up with something, rather than going in this downward spiral of, oh my god, everybody's looking at me, I can't come up with something, I failed, and feeling negative about it, then they tell people to say, when those things happen, just put your arms above your head and say, I failed! And the whole audience cheers and says, yay! And I think that's really incredible. It's a really great way to, instead of going in this downward spiral of negative emotions, then it's an upward spiral of, yay, I failed, I learned something, it's great. And I think that's an amazing lesson for self-acceptance, where, oh gosh, I failed, and then go down some kind of story, getting lost in thought, and making yourself feel more negative, rather than that, going on an upward spiral of giving yourself positive emotions, changing your body language so that you're celebrating, and then yelling, being happy. That's a great way of just interrupting that and becoming more self-acceptance. So, just to recap, I'm talking about self-acceptance, and my key points are basically, you can gain self-acceptance by practicing a self-accepting I, or accepting I, with just intentions, holding the intention of accepting, and then you can also just stay present, notice that the downward spiral thoughts are happening, and detach. You can also celebrate when times that you would actually start going in the downward spiral, and just how great accepting is. And when you learn self-acceptance and you learn accepting of others, then just great things happen. I've noticed that in my practices of authentic relating and circling, when people are just opening up, rather than fixing them, giving them advice, if you just stay accepting, we all go through challenges, this person can solve it themselves, I'm just going to stay here, I'm going to listen, I'm going to watch, I'm going to stay present, and I'm just going to accept you, then this beautiful stuff happens. This is an amazing skill to have, not only for yourself, but for others. And I would really hope that you gain this kind of self-accepting aura and this ability to accept others, and really hone this intention of accepting others. And just looking around, seeing different objects, accepting them for just how they are. This is life, this is reality. And then once you do that, I think you're going to live a great life. I love you guys. I hope you gained a lot of value from this. If not, I'll try to accept myself in that and have fun. Peace.